pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for coming. You've had a chance to read the minutes. Let's start with the public hearing minutes. Do you have a motion?
I make the motion.
Doug makes the motion. Second? Ronnie seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
And Ronnie said aye. Okay, we need a motion for the meeting minutes. Okay, Ronnie made the motion, Doug seconded. Ready for the question?
Aye. Aye.
It carries. Okay, correspondence. Brenda, any correspondence? We now come to the public comment portion of the meeting. Does anybody from the public have a comment? Could be anything on the agenda or off the agenda? Okay, let's move on to council reports.
No tickets written, no calls responded to.
Okay, that was simple.
Very few times that we never at least have somebody call and complain about a dog, but I'm this first month in forever.
Yeah, maybe it's cold weather.
I'm not complaining.
Let's move on to parks.
No activity.
Okay. This is going very quickly. Okay, crime in court.
We don't have the other one. Julie was out a bit last week. This one here, we have one partner or family member assault causing bodily injury to partner or family member. One criminal mischief.
I don't have
Loss.
these.
I don't know. One disorderly conduct. One driving without a valid driver's license. One driving a motor vehicle while privileged to do so is suspended or revoked.
Okay. Anything to add, Ernie?
No, sir.
Cool, no activities. Sewer.
All checks and maintenance being done, all testing has been completed, 3 sewer calls responded to.
I was gonna show you this last week, or last month, but I forgot to bring it, but that's what we pulled out of the lift station 2 months ago. Stop that thing. Anybody have an idea what that is? Threaded, looked like it had blades on it. I asked Bill Terrell if it was something he had in his sewer jet, and he said no. I don't know if they'd admit it anyway now. I don't.
Okay, well, it looks like an attachment.
Mm-hmm. It could have been in there forever and finally just made its way through, but that's hard on those $7,000 pumps.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Okay.
Roger.
All
Oh, no.
this-
Oh, no.
No, we got some more stories. This is one of our
Let's start with
sewer
Ryan.
calls. That was at the Human Resource Office. They've been having sewer problems, and they brought Bill out, and he rode a route as far as he could, and so they decided to dig it up. And it was actually a relatively new, at least modern saddle. It was one of those fast fits, but I didn't never put it in, so it had to be before me, because they had them. But the glue was a little different. It's what we use now than epoxy, and it sets harder, and this was more of a rubbery type. So I thought it was probably before my time, but it was all intact. But you could kind of see that there were some roots going around there, so Dwayne Reynolds popped it off, and it was just solid roots. You couldn't even stick your hand down in there, and it's a 4-inch line. So I had to take a crowbar and start pulling it, and it filled the whole 8-inch pipe, and it was just full of all sorts. You can imagine what's in there. And I dig it out and pull it out with my hands, and then I could finally got it small enough because it was the whole pipe, and I dig a bit and I move it back. And then I dig some more out and move it back, and then finally it got small enough that you could see one of those pieces was 4 or 5 inches in diameter and 5 feet long, and the other piece was 3 feet long. And then all that stuff around it is what I had to dig out by hand.
So that's just root mass?
That's root mass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And solids.
That would have to indicate that something was leaking, wouldn't it? To get all those tree roots in there?
It's in the sewer, and so they're searching for, once they get one little thing in there, that one little root, and then there actually turned out to be one that was probably as big as my little finger. that I had to cut out of there for quite a while going down inside that. So once it can get through, breach that seal, those things will just expand. And that thing was plugged. I don't know how they were getting in it. It was just the water was seeping. Fortunately, it's just two people on that line, George and Sherry. So there's just the two there, and then that office. So it wasn't anything that was going to be causing a real backup. But it was stuffed. And took us a while to get that one done. Then we had another call in an alley. Herman Berning's property was having problems, but we checked the manholes above and below, and it was running fine, and that had to be theirs. And then the school, the third one was the school called and said they were having problems, so we went and checked the manhole, and there was water running down there, so we said, well, we think we're fine. And they were gonna do what they could do, and then the next day, Butch called and said he was having problems. But right across from him, Peasel's, they weren't having any problems, so I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I sewer jetted it, got the sewer jet out, had to winterize it, ran it all the way up from the closest manhole and hit like I thought was the end. I kept banging on it, ran 2 loads of water, 1,000 gallons in there, and I thought, well, I must have got it. Went back up to Butch's, and no, his is still plugged. But Peasel's wasn't, so I looked at the map, and I think what they did with Peasel's is instead of coming across, they turned his, so hers was actually a few feet lower than his. That's why she wasn't having any problem. So I had to dig what they call a lamp hole out. It comes up like this, and it was about 16 inches down, frozen solid. And of course, Rodney took that day off. To make a long Thanksgiving, so I'm out there with a torch and I'm chipping a 1/2 inch each time to get it down. It took me 2.5 hours to chip that 16 inches. And then I got down and I went about 20 feet and I ran into something. And I had to bang at it for about an hour before it finally busted through, and then I ran it back and forth, back and forth. And as far as I know, it cleared out because Butch's stuff took off running, and I never heard from the school anymore. It's been a little busy on the sewer stuff, always in the winter when it's cold. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the water. All checks and maintenance being done, all testing has been completed, 1 water problem responded to.
We had, who was it? Jim Drobny.
Yes.
He had a really high water bill, so I went and looked, and we were able to isolate it for him. He checked his meter pit, and it was spinning really fast. And it wasn't just a little leak, he was using some water, and so he went in and started backing off valves that he had, and he found one between the garage and the house. When he shut it off, it quit. So at least he knew where to work from there. And I said, well, turn that valve off when you go to bed until you can get it fixed, because he had a pretty good water bill.
Let's move on to streets. Let's see, plows are installed, sanding as needed.
And it is needed. We sanded a few times, but we hadn't had to plow until today, and then we plowed. We blew a tire on the dump truck, which is our plow sander, the front tire, and it just blew to pieces. And so it happened to be right by Carl, so they were able to back it right in there and shove it in there, and they got it off, and he's calling around trying to find that size. And this is a Washington State dump truck that we've had for 18 years. They said there's not a tire like that in the whole United States, who he deals with, and so they were going to call around. And it's a split rim, which Carl won't work on. Nobody likes them, and know that they're dangerous as all get out. So they finally found a tire that they thought would work, but not on that rim. And I said, well, let's just forget it. So I ordered 2 rims and 2 tires for the front of that. The back ones are still good, so they'll be coming. John and Ricky had a tire that would be put on there. It was pretty close to the same, a little higher, so it sits a little bit like that, but not bad. But at least we'll be able to sand and plow till Friday. And so I ordered, I don't know what those are gonna cost, but it won't be cheap, but I didn't want the other one blowing out, having him be doing, actually he was going really slow when it went out, so he was pretty lucky. And we'll probably be out plowing in the morning.
Yes, looks like it.
And sanding.
Yes. Okay, let's move on to the fire. 1 emergency call, 2 training meetings, Montana Mutual Aid meeting, generator grant, FEMA grant, FRA BFA grants, safety seat program, tender project, dispatch project, Diamond Road land, recruiting and retention. Anything to add on that, John?
No, not really. We did have another safety seat check scheduled for here this afternoon. Timing obviously with the weather wasn't too good and we didn't have any takers. But we're continuing on with that program. We did get a FEMA grant submitted last week. We'll see how we do on that for new air packs. We should do well, but we'll see. The newer packs are just a lot lighter, longer duration, a lot of extra safety things built into them. And ours are old enough that we should be pretty high priority on the list for them. So we'll see where we end up with that.
I saw in the report that you had lost, was it 3 members?
Yeah, although it turns out it's not completely accurate. At least one of those that we were told had left hasn't.
Okay.
So it's not quite so bad. But I mean, it's just one of those ongoing things that we lose people, they leave the area, and we just have to keep staying on top of recruiting to try and keep filling in behind. I'm a little concerned about the membership numbers right now, but that's not the first time that's happened. And we'll just keep working at it. That's all we can do. More jobs here would be good.
Well, thank you for your efforts on that. Okay, let's move on to council concerns. Yes.
It's still listed, at least by DOR and under Stacy's is listed as Tom Metcalf's. We do have, Felstead did finally bring in a letter. I didn't look at it, I didn't have time to do that today, but they're both in there. So,
Well, we've got 2 bids, right?
yeah. I didn't open one was 64.
60, yeah, 64, something like that.
And then I just got the other one today and stuffed it in there in the deal, so.
And we'll have them start as soon as they can.
And then I got asked questions about ornaments,
Yes.
for the town, like what we have a little bit on Fourth Avenue and stuff, and they're wondering what it costs for each one. Who was asking these questions? How much it was per ornament, and then how many would we do, because they would like to do fundraisers or something.
We didn't buy any of those. Those were bought through
Chamber of
the
Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce. If you look on, you can look online, I think it's called display.com, is that the name of it?
I don't know, we get a catalog every so
Yeah, we
often
get them
from
on
Chris
a
and
regular
stuff.
basis. They're not cheap.
I usually throw it away as fast as I can.
They're not
And the
cheap.
gals that go in that were asking for that.
I'm thinking the figure $100 seems to me like about $100 each.
I'd say that, yeah.
Those ones are hanging up there,
Yeah, I'm thinking
They may be more, but at least not.
at minimum.
There's
Yeah.
different sizes, there's one great big one, there's probably a couple of them. Weighs 50, I don't know.
Where they want to put them? Where they want to put them?
Just add 2 to make it more
Continuous.
continuous, yeah. And then, of course, I had people asking me about baskets, putting up baskets to help beautify our town. I said, I didn't know about that.
Well, we like to do things that make the town look better.
Bruce, not Tom.
Eric,
Barry, good God, Alzheimer's. He said there's still a possibility that there might be some way to get them lit through the Wi-Fi thing that's coming, that they're still looking at. He says, don't, quote me on that, he said, but that hasn't gone away completely. They're thinking to do a Wi-Fi for the whole town, and there may be some way to incorporate with that. Otherwise, So still looking at $16,000 with just what we have now.
That's totally,
Yeah.
totally undoable. Okay, any other council concerns? Let's move on to resolution 388. Resolution 388, resolution adopting regulations for the application and review of buildings for lease or rent under the authority of Title 76, Part 8, NCA, Town of Superior. Whereas the 63rd Legislature and the Governor of Montana established new review process applications to buildings for lease or rent effective September 1st, 2013, and whereas the new review process allows local governments to establish regulations that guide the application and review of creation of 4 or more buildings for rent or lease on a single tract of land, when not otherwise exempt pursuant to section 76-8-102 MCA, and whereas pursuant to section 7-1-4127 MCA, the Superior Town Council noticed a public hearing on the proposed regulations governing review of buildings for rent or lease posted not less than 30 days prior to the public meeting in at least 3 public places throughout the jurisdiction, including but not limited to public buildings, and whereas after publishing and posting such notice, the Superior Town Council held a public hearing on December 9th, 2013 to consider comments from the public regarding the proposed regulations, and whereas based upon the public comments received, the Superior Town Council amended the proposed findings of fact to address concern, and whereas the subdivision regulations for Mineral County and the town of Alberton and Superior, that is SRMCTAS, as adopted on June 30th, 2008, need to be amended, and Section 8 contains standards for division of land created by rent or lease, and Section 8 of the SRMCTAS will be superseded by these regulations, with the exception of standards pertaining to recreational camping vehicles or motor homes, and whereas the final finding of fact in support of the adoption of regulations governing the review of buildings of lease or rent within the jurisdiction of the town of Superior are attached hereto and specifically incorporated hereby by this reference, and whereas following the conclusion of the public hearing, consideration of public comments and amendments to applicable findings, the town of Superior passed a resolution to adopt the proposed regulations, and whereas the town of Superior Town Council established a fee to be paid by the landowner commensurate with the cost of reviewing the application for building for rent or lease in the amount of $150, and whereas the Superior Town Council has determined the review of 3 buildings used for lease or rent and review under 30 individual storage units in residential, commercial, and industrial buildings shall not be required based on findings of fact established there will be a minimum impact to public health, safety, and general welfare, and whereas the Superior Town Council have determined the review of buildings for lease or rent requires additional regulations, that the minimum set forth in section 76-8-104 MCA based on findings of fact establishing there would be otherwise be unacceptable impacts to the public health, safety, and general welfare, and now therefore the Superior Town Council hereby adopts the regulations set forth in Exhibit A attached to 2 and incorporated herein for the purpose of reviewing buildings for rent or lease in the town of Superior pursuant to the provisions of section 76-8-1 MCA, adopted by the town council this 9th day of December 2013. Motion. Doug makes the motion. And a second. Angelo seconds. Ready for the vote?
Any discussion?
Absolutely.
Real quick, it says 4 on the front and it says 3 in the back. Is it 4 state regulation or is it 3?
If you get to 4, you have to review it. If it's up to 3, you don't review it.
So it's 4 or more.
Have to be reviewed.
4 or more.
That's where the language is confusing, because once you get to the 4th building on a single track of land,
Yeah, and that paragraph talking about the 3 does say, whereas the 3 would not cause a problem, but 4 would. So I guess it's consistent, but I was thinking it was 3 also, but it's 4.
And then, down below, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6th paragraph down, whereas the subdivision regulations for Mineral County, last line, it says, recreational vehicles, or, and you said motorhomes?
Yes.
Okay.
Mobile homes.
Sorry, I said it wrong.
Well, no, I was just wondering if there was
Yeah,
some sort of definition difference there.
yeah, I just read.
Double wides or something.
Sorry, I should have been mobile homes instead.
No, because I just reviewed under, trailer farms.
Okay, any further discussion on this resolution? Are you ready for the question?
Aye.
Passed. Okay, review the floodplain study. Tim, I think we're finally making some progress.
We still need the
Probably
findings
should've-
of facts that go with
probably should have jumped in and
Okay, sorry.
maybe adopted.
the findings of fact need to be adopted also, right along with it.
Because
Okay.
your resolution says that sign on findings of facts and support. Brenda and I passed numerous copies of that and forth of resolutions, so that's what I was for
Yeah.
findings.
No, I do not want this. Does somebody else want to read this one?
I can part of it anyway.
Go ahead.
Superior Town Council findings of fact regulations for buildings for lease or rent, December 9, 2013. Administrative findings. Finding, adoption of the proposed regulations for the review of buildings for lease or rent will meet the intent provided under statute because these regulations offer a new process for review of buildings that are created for lease or rent on a single tract of land. Finding, the proposed regulations provided for an applicant's due process by establishing a review process and timeline requiring notification of completeness as well as the governing body's decision and justification will be administered consistently as it applies to buildings for lease or rent. Finding, proposed fee in the amount of $150 will be imposed for the review of buildings for lease or rent is justified because it is commensurate with the amount of time and the level of review necessary to adequately consider a proposed building for lease or rent. Finding, the proposed regulations for the review of buildings for lease or rent will not place an undue burden on property owners seeking to lease or rent certain buildings or portions of buildings on a tract of land because the regulations identify circumstances under which buildings are exempt from the requirements of this new process. Finding, the proposed regulations for the review of buildings for lease or rent will not place an undue burden on property owners seeking to lease or rent certain buildings or portions of buildings on a tract of land because the regulations provide for a new review process that is abbreviated that considers impacts from the proposed development and allows for adequate mitigation as a result of the potential impact. Finding, the proposed regulations protect public health, safety, and welfare because existing and proposed water wastewater facilities are required to be identified in application materials. And because review by the governing body will ensure that adequate water supply, sewage and solid waste disposal facilities are required. Finding the proposed regulation protects public health, safety, and welfare because adequate access to and circulation on site will be considered by the governing body as part of the application review to be a requirement of approval. Finding the proposed regulations protect public health, safety, and welfare because adequate emergency medical, fire, and law enforcement services will be considered by the governing body as part of the application review and will be a requirement of approval. Finding the proposed regulations protect public health, safety, and welfare by requiring the governing body assesses the potential significant impacts to the environment and human population of any area affected by the proposed development and allows the governing body to mitigate through conditions or denial to avoid or minimize the impacts anticipated. Finding the proposed regulations protect public health, safety, and welfare because they will require development to be part of the applicable floodplain requirements in place at time of application. Finding notice was published in the local paper, posted in the public venue, and public hearings were conducted to receive and consider public comment, and finding increasing the number of storage units up to 30 before the requirement review under these regulations will not impact the public health, safety, and welfare because the impact of the storage unit is minimal. These units will not be served by water or wastewater facilities, will not create significant amounts of solid waste for disposal. The prompt emergency medical, fire, or law enforcement services infrequently will result in intermittent traffic and will not have a significant impact on the environment and should not be made. Finding, review, and accept.
Need a motion to pass these administrative findings? Makes a motion, do I have a second? Are we ready for a question?
Do you have no discussion?
Absolutely.
Now, we made these up on our own, these weren't the requirement statutorily?
The findings?
Yes, the findings.
The findings were developed by a committee of the Mako lawyers and lawyers across the state and planners that had input for this for about 9 months. And
So this went out to all the different municipalities that didn't have zoning?
yeah, it's been available through that community technical assistance program. It's been available out there. So all the planners went to various meetings across the state to come up with these and look at these and decide so that you provide consistency in here.
So they're all the same, Tim, is that what you're saying? Pretty much every municipality that had to go through this is using the same findings?
Yes. If you look at Missoula's, they're fairly close to this. Other counties.
Any further discussion? Everybody okay? Question?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes. Okay.
Brenda, there was an exhibit A that goes with the resolution. I noticed that,
We had it in our packets last month.
Packets last month.
yeah,
And then we put with the, we'll put it right into with the resolution
okay.
and the finding of facts, because what I'll do is, I have the resolution for Mary to sign, but I'll put the exhibit A and finding of facts right into the resolution with the resolution, so they're right together.
What I didn't see anywhere is that anybody took and said, oh, by the way, there's an exhibit A attached to this resolution. Not you.
We had that last month, so
Okay.
we'll get it by there.
Okay, let's move on. Before we stop, on Mullan Road and River Street.
Just an update, you have an email from Denley Logie. The upper echelon of DOT is looking at it and deciding whether they're gonna actually ask traffic to do a study on it, or if they will just let the district make that decision. So, just wanted to let you know where it was.
Okay.
Real quick, Mayor,
Yes.
we kind of breezed over the floodplain study.
Oh, did I? We did, didn't we?
You marked it off.
I had it checked. Sorry, let's go back. Tim, would you talk about the flood study?
The flood-
Floodplain study.
The contract with now Perspect has been signed, forwarded to them. I received the executed copy of the contract back, so I'm presuming that they are proceeding with putting together a application that will be sent both to the Department of Natural Resources and then ultimately to FEMA to finish off the floodplain study over there and do that, so. It's, at least we're at the contract stage, got it executed, contacted Billy, and she vaguely remembers that she made a commitment to money.
Found the minutes too, didn't I?
Yeah, he did a good job on that one. Oh, you say? So anyway, I, you know, whether, how hard it's gonna get money from them or whatever and stuff, if not, I'll be tapped out, I guess. So anyway, it's moving and I'm gonna let them sit on it a little while before I start asking them for an update, but at least we've got the procedure to finish that thing off and get it adopted.
It's been a long process, hasn't it? Thank you, Tim, appreciate that. Let's move on to new business, resolution 389. Yes.
Okay, when we sold the land up on Diamond Road, that amount of money coming in was not in the budget for 13-14. This actually budgets where it's gonna be brought in as revenue and everything that's gonna happen to those funds. The next resolution following is the one authorizing me to do the wire to pay off the Intercap loan on the offices. That's kind of where that's.
Okay, so does everybody understand the resolution? Well, I'll read it and then maybe you'll understand it. Resolution 389, a resolution of the Town of Superior providing for the amendment of the budget for the fiscal year 2013-2014. Whereas the Town of Superior, Montana adopted a budget for the fiscal year of 2013-2014 by resolution number 382 and resolution 383, and whereas resolution number 387 was adopted by the Town Council on September 16th, 2013, accepting and approving the offer by the Town Pump of Superior Incorporated or assigns to purchase approximately 0.840 acres of real property owned by the Town of Superior and described as S34 T17N R26W COS 157, partial in portion of SE4 Superior, Montana, Mineral County, GEO code 54-26-3-1-34-4-03-07-0000 in the amount of $68,000 and authorized the mayor to execute all necessary conveyance documents, and whereas on November 8th, 2013, the sale closed on the land described above, and whereas the proceeds from the sale of the land in the amount of $68,000 for which no provision was made in the fiscal year 2013-2014 Town of Superior budget, and whereas the town has a loan on the town offices in the amount of $64,964.60 plus interest, and whereas the town council chooses to pay off the town office loan with the proceeds from the sale of the land, and whereas the town may appropriate the proceeds from the sale of the land during the fiscal year pursuant to Montana Code annotated 7-6-4006 subsection 3E. Now therefore be it resolved that the town council of the Town of Superior hereby appropriates a sum of $68,000 and directs the town clerk to allocate the said amount of the following revenue and program activities. Fund 1000, General Fund, Revenue 382010, proceeds from sale of capital assets 68,000. Fund 1000, General Fund, Program 490500, other debt service payments, $6,900,000. principal, $64,946.60. Program 49050, other debt service payments, 620, interest, $196.66. Program 410500, financial administration, 390, miscellaneous, closing fees, $687. Program 521000, transferred to other funds, $2,169.74. Fund 4000, capital improvement fund, program 383000, transfer from other funds, $2,169.74. Further, be it further resolved that the above appropriation shall be effective on December 9th, 2013, passed by the council, approved by the mayor on this 9th day of December 2013.
I'll make a motion, we approve resolution number 3.
Second.
Okay, I heard Ronnie first. So, any discussion on this?
Aye.
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 Passed.
Typo? Okay. Thank you, that was my,
I read it twice and didn't find it.
that's okay. I can read something I've done twice, 2 or 3 times, and Ruth will still find something I've typed wrong.
That's good. Okay, let's move on to resolution 390. Nice short one. Who wants to read it?
I'll take that one.
Thank you.
Resolution number 390, a resolution of the town of Superior approving the payoff of the town office's Intercap loan and directing the clerk to wire the funds to pay off the loan. Whereas the town of Superior entered into an Intercap loan to the State of Montana Board of Investments for the purpose of constructing the town offices, and whereas the town has a loan on the town offices in the amount of $64,946.60, plus interest of $196.66. And whereas the town council chooses to pay off the town office's loan with the proceeds from the sale of the Diamond Road land, now therefore be it resolved that the town council of the town of Superior hereby approves paying off the town office's Intercap loan and directs the town clerk to wire the funds for the payment. Fund 1000, general fund, program 490500, other debt service payments, 610, principal, $64,946.60. Program 490500, other debt service payments, 620, interest, $196.66. Passed by the council and approved by the mayor this 9th day of December 2013.
Ronnie makes a motion. Second day. Any discussion?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed. Okay, moving right on. We have a fire hydrant mapping letter of agreement. In your council packets, there's a thing from Max that tells what they are willing to do for us. Or what was it, $1,100 roughly?
Did Tim talk to you that we're going to have another map like he did for ISO, where all the locations are? Yes.
No, we didn't.
Okay.
Oops. Hey, John.
We can make it happen, I'm sure. Tip will make the map all run around and work them.
What's the total dollars you took that kind of work out?
Yeah, it's for $1,102.
That's every bit of it, even this 3 hours down here for 237.
I think so. Do you know for sure?
I haven't seen the letter, so.
So Tim, does it look like the total cost would be $1,102?
I think it's 2 separate.
So that's two separate amounts.
Task one and
I
task
think
two
task
are
one task two. Task one is 1,102, task two is 237. So $1,339.
And one is with that 1102.
Yeah.
Who's negotiating these rates, is that you, Tim, or? Is that like a not to exceed, or is that just an estimate?
Well, it's an estimate, but when they do their estimates, they're really tight. They haven't, out of 5 years, they haven't
Well,
run over an estimate yet. I mean, if they get to a point where it's gonna cost more, they're gonna stop dead in the tracks and say, hey, town council, this is what we're running into.
Yeah, it's clearly an estimate because they finished both paragraphs
Yeah,
off
they're
by
good.
saying the town will only be invoiced for the actual hours and expenses incurred. So they're saying it's whatever it is, this is what we think it'll be.
And
So
they
it's,
come down usually with, when Tim has something to do on the county side of it or the EPA part side of it, and then they split the cost with us a little bit too. Split the travel and that.
So I have one question. Mr. Morgan, do you see that as the cost being that in the benefit?
I do. You know, to be able to have maps in every truck and officers' vehicles that show you right where every hydrant is, so that you're coming into on an incident, you can just look at a map and say, okay, closest hydrant is gonna be here. And I mean, you can quick look at it and say, hey, or you might be able to look what closest hydrant looks like it's here, but if we hit this one over here, we're gonna have to run ours across Fourth, and shut Fourth off. Which, for instance, that Pine Street fire, we did have a line right across Fourth, and put Ernie in the position of having to deal with traffic around. So, yeah, there's some advantages to be able to look at, okay, where are they, what's the best route, what's gonna work best for us, things like that.
Run through the street, you don't have a map already of where you put the hydrants in?
Not all of them. With our sewer and water maps, they show the old ones, but we've added probably 30 that are not on those old
Not
maps.
on those old maps?
Yeah.
And this is, once Tim's got it in the system, we can print it out different sizes for different uses and,
It'll eventually end up going into the GIS Bulgari system that will be dispatched to.
and for instance, we had this situation where we brought all those mutual aid engines in, with the fire on West Mullan, to be able to hand them a map that says, here's the hydrant locations. I think long-term, I mean, it's not, you're not gonna have to constantly update this, we're not gonna be adding hydrants every other month, so they'll be good for a long period of time, and we'll be using them for a long period of time, so yeah, I think they're worth it.
Wouldn't it be a benefit too, when you guys are looking at the maps of where they're gonna run the lines, they can also be looking at the fact of saying, we need to call dispatch, and we need an officer to block the road, and so they
Yep.
would be dispatching, rather than getting there and going, oh geez, now we need to block the road, we have nobody to block the road.
Yep.
And that can be already rolling before you guys actually stop and hook up.
Yep.
What we doing for fun?
We're okay, cause under the, general fund, under the administration, we always have some for engineering purposes like this. And so those little ones like that we can fund. It'd be like if we went in to do a
Another
facility.
water system fund.
No, this one would, not for fire hydrants.
Okay, we need a motion.
Another observation question. Can this be put on software or something to where, when, as they're being added, you know, you mentioned that you're not gonna be putting in one every 2 months or so, but, you know, is it possible to have something on software to where it could be added?
Yeah.
That's the programming we already have in our dispatch center.
Yeah,
They
well,
call
yeah,
call
the
it the
GS.
Bulgari Center.
If John installs a new hydrant, he'll just let me know and I'll give it to the maps guy and they'll pick that up on with their next regular mapping rounds and put it into the system and update.
Yeah, this is a software system,
Yeah.
it's on computerized, and you can just add to it, you don't have to go back and redo the whole thing each time, you can just add to it. Yep.
Okay, we need a motion.
Second.
Second,
Are we approving?
the motion is to approve the expenditure of the money.
Okay.
Okay. Everybody understand the motion? Are you ready for the question?
Aye.
Aye.
It carries. Legal business.
And
Clerk's
I have
business.
several things.
Okay.
When the auditor and I spoke with Anna Miller at DNRC today regarding some new compliance, or not, some new guidance on doing A-133s, they're not going to, they themselves are not going to require us to do an A-133 until we change clerks. Or if the payments would be later, we're gonna be an A-133 this year on the audit because of the $498,000 loan. And next year we'll go through this process with utilities, rural utilities, and we might be able to get that a little bit changed. Also talking to Anna, because I know they've been looking at different loans throughout the state of refinancing them and dropping the interest rate. I reminded them that we have one, and the sewer one I don't believe is eligible because it's at 2.75. The one water on the last project is 0.75% interest, and then the other water I think is 2.75, but the one that was the purchase of the system is at 3.75. And I'm thinking that if they review that one in there, let us refinance it, they'll drop 1 full point of interest off of there. And that, if it's worth doing that over the next 17 years.
And that one was still pretty high, isn't it?
It's still 909,000 some odd dollars. So, yeah.
That's dropped quite a bit.
Yeah, it's dropped quite a bit, but being able to drop that 1 more point of interest off of there would be a benefit to the community, so that will be probably coming up. I reminded her that we were definitely interested in looking into that. The other thing is, and I put it in the notes from the clerk, in October I got the bill, or the tax report from the county treasurer's office. And in that report is the real estate charges for 13-14 for the town, for the GO bond, and for the street lighting. The town and the GO bond are fine. I went through those, and especially after I found the little issue with the street lighting. The street lighting, I have the budget out when I'm putting the mills in, looking at it. The real estate charges that we milled for was 16.30 mills, which would generate $17,346. The real estate charges received from the county were over $18,000. So the first thing I did was call Department of Revenue and ask Lois if there's a fluctuation. Now, it's not uncommon or unusual that when we get our certified taxable value from Department of Revenue in the first week of August, when we're doing budget, until when the county puts out the bills, for that to fluctuate. It can go up and down a little bit, usually doesn't make a big bit of difference. This was enough to cue me that something was not quite normal here. So I asked Lois, and no, it went down a little bit, so Lois started looking for me, and she came back and felt that Mary had used the wrong number of mills. She used last year's mills, which was 17.95 mills. So I contacted Mary. Mary looked through it, figured it out. Yes, she used the wrong number of mills. I talked with the mayor. The cost of having them, they've already had 50 or so in town that had paid their entire tax bill for the year. And so the cost of having them redo all this and paperwork and all the work, refund the little, and some of them were like $1.21 is the difference on them. So refund that, and then rebill and remail and all that, and the other bills. The mayor also said, we'll let it roll this year. What it's gonna do is at the end of the year, the cash available for the next fiscal year will be higher. What that'll do is lower the number of mills on the SID next year. Then the following year, it will go back to normal. It'll go back to a leveled out again, so. But
So I
that's
felt
where it
would
is.
just be way more cost effective to let the correction go next year rather than trying to correct it this year.
And I was concerned that if she made the correction, it might not be right too. I'm sorry, that's just, I don't have a good track record there, okay?
So we'll carry the balance forward then.
We'll carry the balance forward, yeah. And it's in a special fund, so it is only used and restricted for that fund, so it's not gonna go anywhere else, so. But, yeah. These are the fun things we do. And the auditor's aware of it too already, so. But I just wanted everybody to know.
Okay, thank you, Brenda.
Good catch.
I need a motion for the consent agenda.
Wait a minute,
We're not
before
ready?
you do that, we have
Okay.
two invoices that came in on the car that the town is buying. Yes, and these are not included in that stack, but we'd like to get them paid. The first one is Motorola, and that's the radio, right?
Yes.
And it's for
37.
$37.49.97. That's obviously too close for the glasses. I know. And the other one is to WatchGuard, and it's the
I believe it's.
camera
the
unit? Camera video unit, and it's $3,070. So I'd like to have approval to go ahead and cut those checks and be able to pay those two invoices.
So we'll have our budget.
Yes, yes.
Make the motion.
So the motion is
Paying the bills.
made to pay those other two bills. I need a second.
Second.
Okay.
One of those two.
I know. I know.
They were like right
I know.
together.
I'm gonna do Rick this time.
Okay, good. Any discussion?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that carried.
Now,
Now we can-
consent agenda.
Okay, Doug made a motion.
Time.
This is gonna be Doug's last motion ever.
Not necessarily, I'll
I'll
second.
second it.
Okay,
Aye.
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 okay, motion to adjourn.
I make the motion to adjourn.
Need a second? Vote?
Aye.
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 This
Yeah,
meeting is adjourned.
I need to have Mike sign it. Yeah.
Last motion.
I have a photocopy.
No more motions for you.
No motions for me or crap?
Okay, I'll just have you sign this. And then
I don't have to abstain on this camera.
And then finally,
Doesn't have.
Congratulations, sir.
So it's like useless.
It's got a threaded thing and it looks like it had blades,
Plugged in.
you know, something like, it looked like a cutter to me, but I talked to Bill Farrell and he said it's not something they use. There's other people, you know, it could have been off somewhere, finally busted loose, but
It's one of the ones that has extra.
yeah,
Well, I have the audio on you.